Hope everyone had an amazing holidays and New Year's because, yeah, haven't done a live stream since then. I know I've seen a lot of you at the various hangouts and stuff, but yeah, we haven't gone live since this is our first live for the year. So fun stuff. Let's see, we got some people coming in. Excellent. Mr. Scott, Chris are here, unfortunately. I'm assuming audio and visuals are a-okay. Haven't lost my touch. Gary, thanks for popping on. Excellent. Mr. Francis here, Rian, Dave. Excellent. Thank you, Rian. So, yeah, got a cool new starter pack today for everybody. Oh, we got Commander Jody Joy back. Excellent. Good to see you, Jody. Hope you had a good time in Mexico. Is it cold? Is it cold for everybody right now? Man, it is so cold here. Actually, I was talking with Isaiah this morning, and he's in Austin, Texas, and it is apparently extremely cold there. And yeah, school's been canceled, and he's been having like some power outages too. So that kind of sucks when it's cold because you kind of need your heater and stuff, right? So, well, maybe gas heaters, but you kind of still need the electricity to run the blowers and all that stuff. So, yeah, kind of blows. No pun intended there. But 28 and ice. Yeah, yesterday morning when I drove my daughter to school, it was 29 degrees outside. Like no ice, no, it was just cold, like crazy cold. Yeah. So anyway, hey Ryan, thanks for popping on, Mr. Malloy. 49 in Vegas. My mom's gonna be in Vegas this weekend. She was hoping she'd get a reprieve from the coldness and go to hot Vegas, and I was like, nope, it's gonna be pretty cold there too. Okay. Anyway, back to business. Starter pack. So, what is the starter pack? When Stacks 5 was under development, I approached Isaiah and was like, yo, dude, we need like a kick-ass set of like default stacks for Stacks 5. And I wanted it so like if someone just was coming into Stacks, like they had everything they needed to build a responsive site that, had all the basics, right? And so I've been working on this stack set for many months, since before Stacks 5 shipped, right? So it's been a while. And Isaiah finally added some stuff that I needed in 5.1 to get this out and released, hence why I kind of delayed the shipment of it. But I also, while it was delaying, I just kept working on it and kept working on it and kept working on it. And all of a sudden it grew to 42 stacks. Wow, I'd say that this is a no-brainer to get because yes, it's free, but it is awesome. I would gladly charge for this stack set. It has a lot of work in it. Okay. Super quality product. It is the highest value of anything that I ever given away for free. So part of me thinks it's kind of crazy, but part of me is also super excited. Okay, because I should have to say, starter pack works in any theme. It doesn't require any theme or any framework. Just use it anywhere you want, and it will work. Free of charge, as much as you want. And it has most of everything you could ever want for a site. Okay. Now, I will say it is, if anyone is a Foundation 6 user, I think a lot of you here are probably Foundation 6 users. You probably are aware, if you notice it gets hints and clues. I mean, Foundation 6 is a great product. So basically I just created simpler versions of a lot of the Foundation stacks. And actually, some of them are just straight up copy clones of the foundation versions. Okay. For example, I think like some of the code stacks, CSS and HTML and SVGs and whatnot. But anyway, we'll be diving into that. But there's going to be a lot of parodies, right? Or a lot of parallels. Sorry, not parodies, parallels between the foundation stacks and this starter pack. And I think that's kind of cool because someone can who's new to stacks can get this starter pack and start working and really get really far with it. To be honest with you, and then if they ever want to upgrade to foundation, it'll kind of be an easy and seamless thing. They'll just get a little bit more power and more options, right? And obviously all the swatches, which to be honest, I was like, man, I'll be brutally honest with you guys here. Like I was thinking like, is this starter pack gonna like kill foundation? Like, what am I doing here? Because it has like really the basics, right? It's the missing essentials. And the more I thought about it, I was like, maybe early on in Foundation 6 days, I would have thought that, but right now, like just having columns and all the picture stack and the SVGs, like, yeah, those are all nice, but the power of Foundation 6 is really like the swatches and the powerful forms and stuff like that. That is really the ticket in Foundation 6, right? So really bringing a lot of the other boilerplate components from Foundation 6 and making them free in the starter pack, it doesn't hurt anything. It just makes everything better, right? I think. So that's my hope. Let's roll the dice here, So yeah, hopefully everything's going to go well. I hope everybody loves it, and hopefully everyone's already got it. Okay, I actually just shipped an update literally like 20 minutes ago. We'll dive into that. That's going to give you a sneak peek into like, maybe I'll show that first, because I know if I start diving into the stacks, I'm probably going to forget. So, without further ado, let's go ahead. And, I'm going to talk about what I did this morning. And I did it first in the starter pack because I kind of wanted to show it off during this live stream. But it's going to be features that I add to every one of my stacks. So I did a bunch of work that I feel might solve some problems for a lot of people. And I'm going to show you first what they are in the starter pack. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's open up the starter pack here. This is the project file that comes with the starter pack. It doesn't have every single stack listed in there yet. I'll probably build it up a little bit later, but we'll go over everything, answer all your questions today. We'll go as long as you guys want. Okay. So as you might know, okay, here's all the stacks in the starter pack, right? And as you probably know, a lot of stacks have built in like links to help, right? And if you've used my products long enough, if you go way back in time, I used to have a website called docs.joeworkman.net. And it was a huge site that allowed you to browse through and look at all the detailed settings for every stack, right? So basically it was just documentation about every single setting in every stack. And I decommissioned that. And kind of, started just using the community and I kind of boffed around and had FAQs on my site. Then now the FAQs are kind of back on the community. So, but I've always wanted to kind of bring back these documents for each individual stack. Okay. And, as a starter, what I've done is, for all the stacks in the starter pack, now this is the version that I just shipped 20 minutes ago. It is version 1.1.2. Okay. If you right click on any of the stacks that are in the starter pack, this is only starter pack stacks. Okay. If you right click and go to show online help, okay, for that particular stack, it will open up your browser and it will take you to a new web page that I've set up on Weaver Space that will go ahead and document every single setting It'll kind of tell you what the default settings are. It'll tell you, if that setting's enabled or disabled. It'll detail out all the possible values, and if there's any tooltips or help available, right? It'll give you that. So yeah, this is again available. It can be on every stack, so you can go to the. Oh, I don't think the form. Oh, the form does have some. We say show online help. Go there, and then here we go. There is the help for the form stack. Okay. So eventually, I will roll this out to all stacks, all of my stacks, because most of my stacks now, if you right click and say show online help, it will actually take you to the community site. And yeah, and you can search on the community site and get help there. But yeah, I thought this was a nice little addition. This show online help, like this HTML one. I don't even. Oh, it does have a couple settings. There you go. Okay, so yeah, every single stack has that now in the starter pack, and eventually over time, as I ship updates, all of my stacks will have this feature. Okay. If you find any inconsistencies in the docs, I'm sure there's going to be so many. Because, as a developer, you copy and paste things from one stack to another, and maybe I forget to update the little help stuff. And, so yeah, I do have to say these are automated, right? These are automatically generated based off the settings. So, just to kind of let the cat out of the bag here, like if we go to the form settings, right? Let's just add, or let's go forms somewhere on here. Thought I had a form example in here, don't I? Oh, there it is. So if we go to the form stack, here's all the settings. And if you hover over this, you see there's a tooltip, right? Well, guess what? The help for every setting is just the tooltip. Okay. But some people know about these tooltips. Some people don't. Some people just think it's nicer to have it all in one nice little web page. Okay. So, there we go. And it's just a nice little, settings page. If you have any ideas, or if you find any inconsistencies or something that you feel isn't correct, let me know. I'm more than happy to, try to improve that. Okay. For everybody. Okay. There's that. Let's close that up. So that's the online help. Again, that's for every stack in the starter pack. Eventually, for all of my stacks, I'll probably do foundation stacks pretty soon. Probably by the end of this week, I'll probably document and ship an update out for Foundation 6 stacks. Okay, and that will include all swatches as well. Okay. Okay. Next up, another thing that I did. If you didn't notice a post that I made yesterday, this isn't something I can show you, okay? But I did some updating of my update server, okay, where I serve up stack updates to you guys. And I discovered that a lot of people are renaming stacks. Either they're doing it intentionally, or some cloud services like iCloud and Dropbox are renaming those stacks for you. And if you rename a stack, you don't get an update. Okay. If you rename it, you're not going to get updates for that stack prior. However, just literally this morning, probably like a half hour ago, was the last thing I fixed. At least I think I fixed it. I have to do a little bit more testing, but this starter pack should work. If we rename the starter pack stack, we should still be able to update it. Okay. So I think I've fixed that. I think, and once I do a little bit more testing on it, I did include the fix in 1.12, but I'll do a little bit more testing, and if that fix works, then I'll ship that as an update to all of my stacks. Now, obviously, that fix will only get if you can actually update the stack. So read that post on the community. I won't go into all the details here, but I definitely recommend don't rename your stacks. Just leave them as is. If you're using a cloud service, go and check kind of the circumstances that I detailed out in that post so that you can kind of clean up your library a little bit. Okay. Okay. And then the next one is something kind of unusual. Okay. So let me open up a new stacks page, and I'm just going to add in, let's just add in a little, just create a quick little layout here. We'll just add some, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to add in a form. We're just going to add a bunch of stuff. We'll add a text input and a text area and a submit button. Okay. So I have this layout in this project. I'm going to save it. And I'm going to quit RapidWeaver. Actually, before I quit, let's open up our Stacks library. Okay. I'm going to quit this project, and I'm going to simulate not having a stack on the page. So, so I'm going to remove the starter pack from the stacks folder. I'm just going to plop it right there. Okay. So now the starter pack is gone, right? It's no longer installed. And you know those darn pesky missing stack errors that confuse so many people? Okay, so let's go ahead and open up that project file again. I have to say that this is a little bit my bad. There's been this API that I literally just implemented in the starter pack that's been around for years, and I never really implemented it. And there we go. So basically what we have here now is just a little bit nicer message. There's less confusion about what stack is missing, right? Because before it was just, this stack is missing. Well, what is this stack, right? So yeah, I just have a little Weaverspace logo saying the CSS stack is missing. Ensure that the starter pack from Weaverspace is installed. There we go. So, and as you see it shows it for every single one, but it tells you the name of the stack. It tells you what product on my website it's a part of, because, you know, I have large stack suites. So, you know, we know that this CSS stack is a part of the starter pack. It's not a part of Foundation, right? So, yeah, just a nice little thing. Again, this isn't something special just for starter pack. It's just the first place that I implemented it, and it will be a part of all my stacks very soon. However, I do have to say that if you notice on this particular page, oh, it does auto update some of them at least. Interesting. Oh, it's because that's a default. Oh, I didn't think it would do that. Never mind. The thing I was about to tell you, I was wrong. I think that must have been a bug fix that Isaiah did. That's cool. Okay. Anyway, let's go ahead and I'm done with that. Let's go ahead and start playing around with starter pack. Oops, I don't want to publish. Let's just delete this page. Oh, in order to do that though, I need to put the starter pack back. Boop. All right, there we go. All right, now we're gonna have some fun. Lucio says he sees a layout stack on Davide's Clio project that confuses me. Does layout stack exist? I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with the Clio project off the top of my head. That would be a great question to ask on the community, though. Okay. So yeah, ask about the layout stack. I'm not sure exactly. It could be a partial, because I don't particularly have a stack called layout. I don't think I do. Layout. I don't have a stack called just layout. I think maybe there's a layout stack inside of the blog list, like it's a child stack of a blog list. Maybe it could be that. I'm not sure. Oh, Fernando. Oh, yeah, Fernando. I'm not sure. I think that's kind of not about the starter pack. So yeah, I'm not sure about that one. Ask on the community. We can help you out. Okay. So anyway, let's look at what we get in the starter pack. Okay, let's go ahead and let's do icon size large so we can kind of see all of them. There we go. So just like I do in Foundation, I kind of have these stacks broken up into various groups. Okay. This top level group here is kind of code related things. Obviously it's called starter pack code, right? So we have, if you want to add CSS to the page or HTML, there's this HTML wrap stack. I won't go into all that. That is actually my old HTML enclosure stack. So this starter pack, you may have noticed that I actually removed a bunch of free stacks from my Weaverspace site. And that's because I kind of rolled them into the starter pack. So HTML enclosure, the product page is still there on my site, but it's no longer a part of like the main grid. So if you know the link to the page, you can still get it, but the starter pack has it. Okay. I even updated them a little bit. So I kind of massaged a little and made it a lot better and whatnot. Okay. So HTML wrap is HTML enclosure. We can dive into what some of these do later on. JavaScript, PHP, and server info. That was another free stack. That was my server info stack. Now it's part of the starter pack. Next up is we have forms. Okay, forms, pretty basic. We'll dive into those. We basically have a form, a submit button, a text input, and a text area. And then we have our layout stacks. Okay, we'll go into my philosophy on my purpose for a lot of these, but it's basically your 1 to 4 columns. You have a grid. There's a few others. So we have height, which was my free static height stack. We have no script, which was my free no script stack. Divider, and then visibility, a show hide stack. Okay. Then we have media. Pretty much all of these are almost direct clones from the Foundation 6 stacks. They have a little bit less features, a little bit, and they've been simplified a little bit, but all in all, these are pretty much identical to the Foundation 6 stacks. Then we have some navigation components. So we have buttons, an anchor and link. And if you're familiar with my very popular anchor and link stacks that have been free for like 12 or plus years, those have now been rolled into the starter pack. So we have anchor and link right here in the starter pack. Then we have some text components. A lot of these have been brought over from Foundation. There's actually a new one in here that Foundation doesn't even have. So and that's the list stack. Okay, so we'll dive into that, just to let you create bullet lists and whatnot. And then lastly, we have some utilities. There's a group stack and a pen stack. Most of you probably know Pen. It is probably one of my most popular stacks. It is free, but it has now been rolled into the starter pack. So if Pen ever gets updates, this version will get updates, not the version that you might already have installed. Okay. If you download it and install the starter pack, you can actually feel free to delete the Pen stack. And all of your existing Pen instances will still work with this version. Okay, so you don't need to have both installed if you have the starter pack. Okay, just to let you know. However, all your existing Pen instances will be Pen Legacy. Okay. I think it was the best way just to handle that. Okay, so just to let you know that they will be labeled Pen Legacy. They'll still work just great. And any new pens will just be this new pen stack. Okay. Okay. I guess we'll dive into columns right first. So we'll go in through the layout stacks here. Let's go ahead and shrink this down a little bit. We'll go into the 2-column stack. Okay. I'll just kind of go through. I'm not going to go through all the columns. They're all very similar, right? You'll notice if you are a Foundation 6 user, the settings have shuffled around here from what Foundation 6 is, and I love it. I spent a lot of time kind of tweaking and seeing how I can make these settings easier to use. Okay. And so essentially what you can do is you can add sizes, okay, small, medium, and large. And at that point, you can go from small up, you can choose your sizes. From medium up, you can choose your sizes. And large up, you can then choose your size, right? And then you can turn off particular sizes. Now, if you only define small, it will be that size from small all the way up, okay? Same thing for medium. So here we have small is going to be full width, both columns. And then medium, we have auto. And auto, by default, will just fill up as much space as possible. And when we have 2, it basically goes 50-50, right? But you can then set it up to be like, if you want to explicitly set it to be 6 and 6, you can do that. Or you can do, 7 and 5, and there you go. right? So there's some interesting things you can do shrink to content as well. So like if we do column 2 is shrink to content, column 1 will grow, and then column 2 will shrink down to the size of the content within it, right? So there's some really powerful settings and options here with these layout tools. Okay. So that's column sizing. I think it's really, really simple to do. Next is spacing. Okay. Spacing it has two options. We have gutters and padding. Okay. So you might be wondering, what's the difference? Well, gutter is the space in between every column. Okay. It doesn't have any space. So if we look at this 3 column, I think it's more apparent here. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and turn gutters off. We'll see that adding gutters will add spacing only in between the columns. It doesn't do it on the outsides, right? So it's only in between the columns, which is nice. Now padding though, what padding does is it adds space all around the particular column. Okay, so depending on what you want to do, you can add padding or you can add gutters, or you can do both. Now, default just kind of does a default standard value, but if you can go ahead and click custom on both of these, you can actually customize the vertical and horizontal padding, as well as the gutter size on small, medium, and large, which is pretty cool. Okay. So yeah, you have full ability to do gutter sizes. And if you notice, these are text inputs. That means I allow you to type if you want 10 pixels or 1 rem or whatever, right? So it gives you a little bit of power, right? That's actually some power you don't have in the Foundation 6 versions of these stacks. So that's kind of interesting. So I hope you guys like that. I thought it was a nice little touch. Yeah, there we go. All right, so that does spacing. Next is alignment, okay? And this is horizontal and vertical alignment, okay? So the horizontal alignment, if your columns, let's go over this and just say, I'm going to make both column 1 and column 2 shrink to content, okay? Now, column 1 and column 2, they don't fill up the entire space. But if I would like to center them, then I can center them, okay? Or align them to the right, right? Or justify them, which kind of spreads them out, which in 2 columns doesn't really make much sense. But yeah, here, if we do, let's do that same thing over here. Let's do shrink to content on all of them so that they don't fill up the entire space. Let's do center, let's do right aligned, and do justify. And if you see, justify spreads them out. Pretty cool, right? And if you want to, like, you can do, column 2 is, I don't know, 3, right? Oh, let's do like 5. So if you wanted it to be a special percentage, but then column 1 and column 3 were, shrink to content, that's kind of a nice way of spreading your content out across. Okay. Next is vertical alignment. Now let's go ahead and here. So here I have my 3 columns, and by default, they'll all be aligned at the top, but we can align them in the middle and as well as on the bottom. So we have the ability to define where our content within these columns is going to be aligned. By default, it's going to be aligned at the top, but we can vertically align the content on top, middle, and bottom. Okay, sweet. And if you want to dabble in classes, we're not going to dive into any of that today. It's there if we need it. Okay. All of the starter pack stacks allow you to put a class in there. But at that point, you kind of need to do your own CSS, or you can use swatches as well. But at that point, you probably have Foundation 6 and you'll be using those anyway. So there we go. Okay. Hopefully that answers the layout stacks. Here we have grid, very similar to the layout stacks, except the concept here is for small, medium, and large, you're going to define how many items are there, right? So let's say if I do on small, I want 2, on medium, I want 3, and on large, I want 4, right? So if we did large, there we go, 4, right? And medium, we get 3, And if we go even farther down, we'll get down to 2. Oops. There we go. 2. Okay. Cool. Kind of cool. You can actually make, if you didn't know, I mean, a lot of this stuff does work in edit mode, right? So depending on your viewport size, yeah, these responsive styles will work in edit mode. Okay. The padding, gutters, and horizontal alignment, all exactly the same. Okay. So as we saw in the column, so you can, if these don't fill, do you want them to be centered or not? Right. Okay. Some of the other layout stacks, I think they're probably pretty self-explanatory. Divider is just a divider. Okay, it's just added to the page. It's a line. You can add classes and you can style it with some CSS or swatches if you want. Okay, but just a divider. Okay. Next is static height. I don't have this on the demo, so I figured I'd just show you really quick. This was based on the free static height stack, but I actually made it better. Okay, so we can define heights for small, medium, and large. You can also define min and max heights. So if you want to define a min and max, and then you can set overflow to scroll. So if you want to have a static container that scrolls because the content is too large, you can easily do that now with this static height stack. Sweet. Visibility is pretty simple, right? Pretty self-explanatory. If you want to, whatever you put inside the visibility stack will obey these rules. So show for medium and large, show for large, show for small only, show for medium only, right? Hide for large, hide for small, hide for medium, right? So there's these various hide and show logic that you can show and hide content. Next, last up is the no script stack. Oops, let's add it in here. And I'm not sure how useful this is, I'll be honest. I mean, it was a free stack that I had, so I kind of consolidated it in here. The contents of this stack will only display if a user has JavaScript disabled in their browser. I don't really feel it's very common that people do that nowadays, but hey, it might be possible, right? So you can either do a generic warning message, or you can actually go ahead and display stack content, and you can drag whatever stacks you want in here. But word of caution though, make sure that whatever stacks you add into the no script stack don't actually use JavaScript themselves, because they won't work. Okay, so pretty basic things should go in here. Okay, just a word of caution there. And then you can actually redirect to a URL, which is kind of interesting. If you wanted to, if they don't have JavaScript disabled, redirect them somewhere and then have a message saying, hey, you might get better use out of our site if you enable JavaScript or something like that. Okay, so there we go. That's no script. Okie dokie. Can we use Starter Pack with Foundation 6? Yes, you can. You can use all of these, again, with any theme you want. I wouldn't recommend, for example, all of the columns and grid. So all of these stacks here, they contain a slimmed down version of the Foundation layout framework. Okay, it does use the Foundation layout framework. And if you were to use these inside of your Foundation 6 project, it basically means you're loading the Foundation framework as well as the CSS for this. Not the end of the world, but yeah, I would refrain from using at least the column stacks. Yeah, the settings here are a little bit different. You have all of those options available to you though, in Foundation 6. So there we go. Either through swatches or through, various stacks or the columns themselves. But like static height, you can do this with Foundation 6, but it would require a swatch and a container, right? But this one just lets you do it all in one go, right? So there we go. Okay. Okay. Let's go ahead. Let's scroll down this. So we did layouts. Let's look at forms. Okay. Forms, pretty powerful here. For a free form, this is pretty great. It allows you to send an email Okay, you can do comma delimited lists of address, so you can send the same email to multiple people. Okay, you can do markdown email, so you can type in your actually your content of your email here in markdown, and that will convert into HTML for you automatically. Okay, you can give it your subject and obviously in your email content. You can also inject data into this. So this is a feature from within Foundation 6, but you can actually, if you're familiar with like the Twig syntax, you can use the macros such as, name. Okay, so curly brace name, and that'll inject the name into the email from the form, stuff like that. Okay. If you want more details on that, you can check out the masterclass forms video for Foundation 6, and I go over how to all the ins and outs of that particular feature. I didn't necessarily document it here, so that's kind of a little secret tip for you power users that are watching us live. And then you can have optional recipients and a custom SMTP server, which most hosts require that you use a custom SMTP server. So there we go. For inputs, okay, basically I allow you to have text input and a text area and a submit button. And yeah, that's basically it. Okay. It doesn't have Foundation 6. Obviously, if you have that, it has a lot of different form fields. Okay. And you can send multiple actions with the form, but we're keeping things simple here. So you can easily build a simple contact form here, the name, email, and a comments thing and a submit button, and that will create a nice email for you. Okay. There we go. Okay. Next up, audio and video. These are slimmed down versions from Foundation. It allows you to do basically an MP3 or a video file. Okay. Now you do have to upload that asset to your server or wherever. Okay. Get the URL to that and then place it here. And then you can customize the player controls that you want. For the video, same thing. You need to upload the video URL somewhere. Okay. Put the URL to the MP4. You can use WebM. WebM is actually a format supported in all modern browsers now as well. Defaults MP4. Then you can either, someone asked from the beta version of the starter pack for the ability to warehouse the thumbnail. So I added that ability as well. Okay, so you can do a drag and drop image as well as a warehoused image. Okay, and then customize various player options inside there. SVG stack, it allows you to paste SVG code into here, essentially, right? So yeah, you can paste in SVG code, and then you can adjust the alignment. You can tweak the color fill. So if we go ahead and change the color of this guy to red, purple, there we go, right? You can change the colors dynamically on the fly of your SVG for the color and the stroke. Okay. Next is the generic embed stack. And this allows you to put in embeds from YouTube or Vimeo or wherever, okay? And then it makes them responsive, okay? So you define the aspect ratio of what the embed is, okay? And the embed stack will make sure that aspect ratio is maintained for you. The table stack, it's a little cheeky, I'll admit. But yeah, if you click on it, it's basically a markdown. Okay. But basically, I know a lot of people don't know the markdown syntax for a table. So basically this is a markdown stack, but I kind of pre-filled in the syntax for creating a table. Okay. If you notice, it actually also adds a nice style to your table as well. Because by default, most themes don't add styles to tables and they look pretty hideous. Okay. So yeah, this stack will add at least a nice style. And if you want to further styles, there's swatches in Foundation 6 for that. Okay. The next things are our text stacks that we have here. Let me preview here and we'll show you what this is. All right, so there's our embed. So definition list. this is just, it's just a way of displaying thing. Now this is a native browser thing, right? So basically you have a definition list where you have like some sort of header and then a definition of it, right? And this is just kind of for accessibility, or if you like the style of this, yeah, there you go. It's just a way of defining a definition list. It's something that is a native HTML element, so I allow you to create that easily in Foundation 6 and the starter pack. Next is the bullet lists. Okay, so if we look at that, we can easily add, we create a list. You define whether or not you want a numbered list or a bullet list. You can define the style of numbers or bullets. Okay, so if you want an alpha or Latin or Roman characters, okay, or if you want bullets to be circles or squares, okay, you can do that. And you also have the ability to position the bullets on the inside of the text or the outside, okay? And then, yeah, you just add your list items. Just go ahead, and you can also add nested lists. So if I click here and click nested list, I can now add a new nested list, okay? And if we go back to our browser, we'll see that here's the ability of a nested list. So here I have numbers and then letters in the sub list. And over here I have the circles in the bullet list. So that's pretty interesting. Then we have the details, which is pretty cool, actually. It's kind of like a very simple accordion. There's 0 JavaScript enabled. It's a default browser element. So we have the ability to have a title as well as content. Okay. So if you see here, I have details. I can put in my title, and then my content can be whatever stack data you'd like. Can you show Roman list? Sure, I can show Roman list. Let's go ahead and do lower Roman. Oh, that is apparently Roman is Roman characters. Let's go ahead and let's see what upper Roman is. I thought it would be Roman numerals, but it's not. It's letters. There we go. How is that different than upper alpha? Look at that. Interesting. I'll look into that. These are all default browser options. It's nothing, I mean, it's just native CSS. So I'll look into that, but I guess that's kind of what we're stuck at. Okay. Hate to do this on a live stream, guys, but I got someone banging on the door. I have to go let him in. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. Live streams, right? Okay. Let's see. So this demo file was created before I added actually a bunch of stuff. And we'll kind of go over some of them I guess I don't have some examples of like a basic button. I mean, the basic button's pretty simple, right? You add a button. You can set your link. We have a couple different styles. We either have round or plain. Plain, if you note it, I mean, the color is set to something. Let's set, there it is. So the plain is just the ability to just have text, okay, with no background, basically. Okay. So we have rounded, rounded rectangle, and then rectangle. So there we go. Then we have alignment options. Sorry, I'm kind of looking to share. Oh, shoot. I'm not sharing my screen. Rookie mistake. I was reading the questions, then boop, share screen. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, buttons. When you add a button, okay, you have the ability to you define rounded, plain. So my example here is when you add plain, it looks like it completely disappears, but it's just because the text color is set to white, and white on white doesn't work, right? So plain, round, rounded rectangle, and rectangle. Okay. I just noticed I don't have a class setting in here, so I will definitely make sure I add that. That was an oversight on my part. Actually, no, it's not an oversight. The reason it's not an oversight is the way that the stack is built. Okay. You can add a class to this button if you need it, but you would need to add it here in the link tool. Okay. The stack is built a little bit differently than, let's say, the Foundation 6 button stack. And it leverages this, any attribute that you add here will be added to the button. Okay. So yeah, there we go. That I think that made life a little bit easier to make this stack as simple as possible. Is just any option or setting that you add into here will be added to the button itself. So there we go. So it doesn't have a class option on purpose. Okay. Okay, that's button. Next is link and anchor. Let's go to the link stack. Okay. And that is just, it's essentially a drop zone. You can add a link to whatever. So you add your URL and all that jazz here. And then whatever you add into here, well, you wouldn't add a button, but whatever you add into this will turn it into one big button, right? So if you wanted to have an SVG that is a big link, there you go. Just add the SVG inside of the link and you're done. Scott's your uncle. Can you add a tooltip to the button and a custom class? Yes, I just answered that. Or you might be a slight delay there. So yes, you can add a tooltip and a custom class via the link. Okay. For adding a tooltip, you would use the title attribute actually. So set the title be whatever, and you would use it would be a browser tooltip. Okay. It wouldn't be any fancy, nice tooltips like Foundation 6 has. But there you go. Okay. The anchor stack. This allows you to link to a particular location on a page, right? So here for fun, let's go ahead and we'll go all the way down to the bottom and we'll put one here and we're going to call this anchor details. Okay. I'm going to call that details. Let's go ahead and I'm going to link to that via this button. Okay. So I'm just going to go here and we link to hashtag and then details, right? So hashtag details. And let's go ahead and preview that. And if there we go, click on that, takes me straight to details. There we go. Okay. So yeah, so that's link and anchor. All right. One of the late additions actually that I didn't have, which is why actually these header stacks here in this project don't use this header stack. They use the default header stack actually. So a late addition was the header stack, and it basically brings some of the nomenclature from the Foundation 6.1. I think it's a much better way of implementing headers. It allows you to do not only header, but you can also do a paragraph. You can add classes directly to it. And more importantly, it has alignment because the default header stack doesn't have the ability to set any alignment on it. So there we go. I think it's kind of annoying sometimes. It's hard to, if you just want to remove the bottom margin from something or the top margin, there you go, right? So we have easy boxes there to remove the top and bottom margin from your header, okay? And then tech stack. If you're familiar with the Foundation 6 tech stack, this is kind of almost the same thing, okay? So it does support Markdown and whatever Markdown you type in here, yeah, there it is. Okay, you can also do remove top, remove bottom margin, and set alignments just like in the header stack. Okay. Okay, I think we went. And obviously Pen, I know a lot of you know Pen and love Pen. This is an unchanged version. It is Pen. Okay. And then the group stack. If you go into group, this is basically just a simpler version of Pen. Okay. It's the grouping aspect of Pen without any of the note stuff in Pen. So it's just the group stack is purely the ability to group stacks in edit mode, maybe to create a partial or something like that. But it adds zero code to the published or previewed page. But again, it just doesn't have any of the note features of Pen. Okay. I figured there's a place for both. Maybe someone doesn't want all this stuff from Pen. They just want to group something. And there you go. Oh, you guys aren't seeing my screen? Oh. Oh, yeah, okay. Looks like Fernando is seeing my screen. Okay. I think did we go over everything? Oh, let's go over the picture stack. I didn't go over that one. That was another late addition. Because yeah, originally I was going to be like, oh, well, stacks comes with an image stack, but hey, you know what? I thought I'd come up with something a little bit nicer and a little bit more powerful than the default image stack. So we have the ability to do warehoused images, as well as regular images. I give you the ability to add 2 images here. Okay. You can add a default image, which if you add just in the default, it will be used everywhere. It'll be on small, medium, and large devices. Okay. But if you add in medium plus, then you can have basically the default will be used on small and the medium plus will be added and used on medium and large. Okay. I find in my web design, most of the time, 2 images is enough, right? Supplying one for small, one for mobile basically, and one for medium and large is good enough. Okay. So that's why I decided to do that here. If you want full blown all out, the picture stack from Foundation 6, you can have a gazillion different images for different formats, different browsers, different dark mode, light mode. You can do all that stuff. Okay. But yeah, for this, I just want to keep it simple. You can supply 2 different ones. Obviously an alt tag. You can add a link to your image. You can also just drag this into a link stack if you like, but yeah, we have a link setting, obviously alignment, and then your sizing. Okay. Okay. I think that's it. I didn't really go over the code stacks. There's not much to show here other than, yeah, you can, if you add in the CSS stack, let's go ahead and add them. All right. You can just type in CSS in here. Okay. And you can add this into a partial or whatever. Right. So there we go. HTML is purely a way of adding HTML onto your page. Okay. How is this different than the default HTML stack that comes with stacks? This one doesn't have those div wrappers. And yes, that makes a difference sometimes. So it is a very minor thing, but in edge case scenario, this stack can really save your booty. Okay. I'm going to skip HTML wrap. We'll come back to that. JavaScript. Again, you just add JavaScript onto the page. There you go. Okay. PHP. Just add PHP onto the page to do various things. Server info obviously does server info. Okay. There we go. Now HTML wrap. What is that one? go ahead in here. And essentially what this does is it has two HTML blocks at the top and the bottom. Okay, here, if we turn off render, we can actually see the HTML. So basically it allows you to add, let's say I wanted to drag in some stacks into here, and basically I wanted to add my own custom HTML that wraps that. Okay. And kind of an edge case scenario here, but when you need this stack, it's a huge game saver. Okay, life-changing moment here. I remember when I released this, it was pretty huge. I mean, there's other ways to accomplish this now, but yeah, this stack is just convenient. So there we go. I think that kind of does it, everybody. I didn't dive into like all the text input fields. You know, I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. You have your field names, your labels, your placeholders, and stuff like that. Submit has the same options as the other button. Okay. Because this one doesn't have the link stuff, you have the ability to add classes to this one. Okay. So there we go. Okay. I don't think I missed any questions. I was kind of trying to peruse them as we were going. Can you add a tooltip? I answer that. So what F6 users use these for? I guess not much. Yeah, Fernando, you know, like I said, if you're a Foundation 6 user, you might not use them very much. Other than some of the stacks that don't exist in Foundation 6. HTML wrap doesn't, server info. I mean, going forward, pen, right? Because the current pen stack was kind of, it's deprecated basically. So I definitely recommend having this installed, okay? Because another thing that I plan on doing is when I build out demo files and stuff like that, part of the problem is like the default column stacks that come with stacks were so limiting and were kind of difficult to use, okay? And so I used Foundation for a lot of my demo projects, pretty much all of them. And that caused some headaches because maybe some users didn't have Foundation, so then they had all those missing stacks errors. And so yeah, that was kind of a headache. So now I can build these demo files with these starter stacks. And yeah, people won't have any issues because the starter pack's free. They can't say nothing about free, right? Just download it, install it, and you're good to go. Okay. Now, one thing I should note also is stuff like, you know, feeds this year or last year was released. It was a very popular stack. Okay. And, you know, creating some really cool layouts with feeds required, a lot of people wanted to do some sort of grid layout, but only the Foundation 6 grid stack actually worked with feeds, right? And it wasn't because I added anything special to it. It's just the way the layouts were built, and no other framework had one that worked, to my knowledge. Okay. So now this free grid stack will work great with feeds. Okay. You can go ahead and, oops. I won't build an entire layout here, but here, let's kind of give you an example of what you would do. Oops, starter pack. Grid. So you'd add grid, and then what you would do is you would add your feed into there, and then you add your grid sill into there, and you're golden, right? So yeah, so you'd have your feeds, and then basically you would add your, whatever your feed is, a CSV feed, okay? And then you would auto generate stuff. All right, so here, let's just do like, all right, let's just do 2 for right now. So I have this CSV feed, and let's just go ahead and do header. Here I do color dash name. Okay. So basically it's going to loop through this and create grid items for everything, right? So where was it? Here it is, right? So it created well, it's kind of hard to see the grid when there's only 2 of them, right? But, you know, it created a grid of red Joe, orange Chris. Okay. So this grid stack works great with feeds, works great with total loop, works great. All these stacks work great with agent and slot machine and all those other kind of server side content generation stacks. Yeah, these stacks will work great with all of those. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Can Argo be in a pen? I have no clue what Argo is. Oh, can a group be in a pen? Yes. You can have a pen in a pen if you want. So yeah, you can. What would foundations? Okay, we answered that. What icon would you use for drift stacks? Not sure. Not sure what you're asking there, Sun Dollar. Solar. Drift stacks. Its icon is a hot air balloon. So, yeah, drift. There's drift. We're not gonna be going over drift today. But drift will work good with all these starter packs too. Okay. All right, guys. I think that kind of calls it a day. Oh, Jason, thanks for popping on, Jason. Yeah, starter pack, go get it. It's free. Can't beat free, right? And this is a really great value. I'm really stoked about this stack set. Super powerful. I can't wait to see what you guys do with it or build with it. Although I know a lot of you are probably Foundation 6 users, right? But like I said, there are a few things here and there that are nice to haves or conveniences. Height stack is one. Maybe the list stack is kind of a cool one. Stuff like that. So there we go. Cool. I'll see you guys on the Hangout this Friday. If not, then I'll see you at the community site. Yeah, give me feedback on the help stuff, on that new online help thing. I'd love some feedback on that. Just go ahead and post it on the community. Yeah, we'll see you guys next week. We'll try to make this thing a regular thing again. Took a little break in January. It was nice. Yeah, there's a lot of work went into getting all this stuff done that we showed you in the past hour or so. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And we'll see you guys soon. Oh, I won't see you on Friday, Bill? Okay, take care, bud. We'll see you soon then. Take care, everyone.